When someone learns too early to fend for themselves, asking for help starts to seem like danger. Trusting seems like risk. Resting seems like loss of control. So you become independent, functional, strong, but also lonely, closed off, and always on guard. If this is your story, Jesus isn't here to judge you. He's here to show you that strength isn't living alone forever. You know what happens when a child learns that no one is coming? They stop crying, not because the pain went away, but because they understood that crying doesn't change anything. And that child grows up and becomes an adult. And everyone admires how strong, responsible, and self-sufficient they are. But no one asks what it cost. No one sees that behind that strength is a person who never learned to truly trust, who never allowed themselves to be vulnerable, who never believed anyone would stay if they showed weakness. You learned to fend for yourself because you had no choice, and that saved you. But now this same ability that protected you imprisons you. Because you no longer know how to let anyone in. You no longer know how to ask for help without feeling like you're failing. You no longer know how to rest without thinking you're losing control. And worst of all, you don't even notice you're alone, because loneliness became normal for you. But Jesus looks at you today and says something no one ever said. You don't need to prove anything anymore. I came to meet you exactly where you are. And maybe this is the first time someone sees you, not for your strength, but for your pain. Have you been calling this independence when it's actually fear that no one will stay if you need too much?
Let me tell you what you never admit out loud. You're afraid of failure, but not the way people think. You're not afraid of trying and failing. You're afraid of trying, failing, and having no one to pick you up. Because you already know what it's like to fall alone, and you swore to yourself you'd never need anyone like that again. So you became the best at everything you do. You became the person who solves things, who endures, who never gives up. But inside, you carry a question that never leaves. What if I fail? Who will want me then? And there's something that hurts more than anything. You look around and see people who ask for help easily, who cry without shame, who trust without fear, and you can't. Because for you, asking for help isn't humility, it's humiliation. Trusting isn't faith, it's naivete. Resting isn't wisdom, it's risk. You learned that if you don't take care of yourself, no one will. So you became your own protector, your own provider, your own savior. And that worked until it didn't anymore. Because now you realize you're tired, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. You're tired of being strong alone, tired of carrying everything, tired of never being able to let your guard down. And there's a voice inside you screaming, I don't want to do this alone anymore. But you don't know how to stop, because stopping means trusting, and trusting scares you more than continuing alone. When was the last time you let someone help you without feeling like you were failing? Now listen to this carefully, because what I'm about to tell you goes against everything life taught you. You were not created to live alone. I know your story taught you otherwise. I know you learned that counting on others is dangerous. I know you were disappointed so many times that building walls seemed like the only option. But Jesus looks at you today and says, that wasn't the story I wrote for you. Ecclesiastes 4:9-10 says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor.
If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Do you see what the word is saying? Needing someone isn't weakness, it's design. You were created for fellowship, for companionship, to share the weight. And when life forced you to learn otherwise, you didn't become stronger, you became lonelier. There's a huge difference between being independent and being isolated. Independence is knowing how to do things alone when you need to. Isolation is not being able to do things with anyone, even when you want to. And you spent so much time being independent that it became isolation, and you didn't even notice. Because you call it not depending on anyone, but Jesus calls it not letting anyone in. You call it being strong, but Jesus calls it being afraid to be seen. You call it taking care of myself, but Jesus calls it not believing I take care of you. What if the strength you're so proud of is actually the prison preventing you from living what God planned?
Let's go straight to Jesus' words, because he knew exactly what to say to those who learn to fend for themselves. Come to me, Matthew 11:28. Jesus didn't say, keep fending for yourselves. He didn't say, prove you're strong. He said, come to me. Come, approach, movement toward someone. This already breaks all the logic you learned, because you learned to go inward, to close yourself off, to solve things alone. But Jesus invites you to come to him, and coming to him means stopping trying to solve everything alone. It means recognizing you weren't created to carry everything, that you need help, that you don't need to prove anything to be loved. When Jesus said, come to me, who was he talking to? Those who had everything figured out, or those who were exhausted from trying? All you who are weary, Matthew 11:28. He didn't say, all you who are doing well. He said, all you who are weary, exhausted, at your limit. This means the exhaustion you feel doesn't disqualify you, it qualifies you. You spent so much time thinking you needed to be strong to come to Jesus, but he calls you precisely when you're weak. Psalm 34:18 says, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Close, not distant, not waiting for you to fix everything. Close to the broken. And maybe the problem isn't that you don't feel God near. Maybe the problem is you don't want to show you're broken. Because showing you're broken means giving up control. And giving up control is scary. But Jesus isn't scared of your weakness. He draws near to it. What changes if you believe Jesus isn't waiting for you to get strong, but calling you because you're weak? And I will give you rest, Matthew 11:28. He didn't say, and I'll teach you to carry better. He said, and I will give you rest. Rest. Remove the weight. Share the load. You spent your whole life carrying alone, and now Jesus looks at you and says, I came to give you rest. Not give you more strength to continue alone. Give you rest. And rest means you don't need to do this alone anymore. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Lean not on your own understanding. That means stop thinking you need to have everything figured out alone. Stop thinking asking for help is defeat. Stop thinking trusting God is optional. Jesus calls you to trust, and trust isn't about having certainty. It's about releasing control.
Now, this one is profound. Jesus said, take my yoke upon you. Wait, didn't he just say he would give rest? And now he's offering another weight? No. He's offering an exchange. You're carrying the wrong yoke, the yoke of pride, of fear, of self-sufficiency. And this yoke destroys you.
Jesus says, drop that one. Take mine. And his yoke is different because he carries it with you. You were never meant to carry alone, but you also weren't meant to carry nothing. You were meant to carry with him. What are you carrying that wasn't meant to be carried alone? For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30. And finally, he says, for my yoke is easy. Now, this one is profound. Jesus said, take my yoke upon you. Wait, didn't he just say he would give rest? And now he's offering another weight? No, he's offering an exchange. You're carrying the wrong yoke, the yoke of pride, of fear, of self-sufficiency. And this yoke destroys you. Jesus says, drop that one. Take mine. And his yoke is different because he carries it with you. You were never meant to carry alone, but you also weren't meant to carry nothing. You were meant to carry with him. What are you carrying that wasn't meant to be carried alone? For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30. And finally, he says, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Easy, light. Not because it's simple, but because he shares the weight. You learned that carrying alone is honor, but Jesus teaches you that sharing the weight is wisdom. Psalm 55:22 says, cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. Cast, don't hold, cast. And when you cast, he sustains. Not because you're weak, but because he's strong. I want you to imagine a scene with me. A man is walking on a deserted road. He's carrying an enormous suitcase, heavy. He can barely walk. But he continues because he always has. Until he sees someone sitting on the side of the road, resting, at peace. The man stops for a moment, and the person looks at him, looks at the suitcase, and makes a simple gesture. Sit here. The man hesitates because he never learned to sit. He learned to walk, always walk. And if he sits, he'll waste time. He'll seem weak. He'll give the impression he can't handle it. But the person doesn't insist, just remains there, available, waiting. And for the first time, the man realizes he's tired. Not just his body, his soul. Slowly, he sits. And when he sits, something happens. He doesn't lose anything. He gains what he never had, rest. And the person beside him doesn't judge, doesn't rush him, doesn't say, okay, time's up, get up. Just stays, present, steady. And the man realizes that for the first time in his life, he's not alone. If you placed yourself in this story, are you still walking without stopping? Or beginning to consider that maybe you can sit? There's another image. Think of a fortress, tall, strong, impenetrable. From the outside, no one enters, and that seems like security. But inside, there's someone alone, protected from everyone, but also isolated from everyone. And this person looks through the windows and sees people outside living, laughing, sharing. And they want to leave, but don't know how, because the door they locked to protect themselves now also imprisons them. And then they hear a voice from the outside, not forcing the door, just calling their name. And the voice says, I know why you built this, and I'm not going to tear it down, but I'm going to stay here until you decide you don't need to live locked up anymore.
Now, let's get practical. Because hearing is important, but changing the mental pattern is what sets you free. You have an automatic thought, and it works like this. I need help, to I'll fend for myself, to loneliness, to repeat. This pattern saved you as a child, but now it imprisons you. And to break this, you need to replace automatic thought with intentional truth. I'll give you the method. When the difficult situation comes and your mind says, I'll fend for myself, you're going to stop. And you're going to say out loud, God is my refuge. I don't need to fend for myself. Psalm 46:1. Not mentally, out loud. Because the pattern entered through repetition, and it only leaves through substitution. What's the phrase your mind repeats when you need help? I can handle it? No one needs to know? Now, every time that phrase comes, you're going to place a truth beside it. Your mind says, I'll fend for myself. Jesus' truth says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Your mind says asking for help is weakness. God's truth says two are better than one. Ecclesiastes 4:9. Your mind says if I fail, no one will want me. Jesus' truth says the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Psalm 34:18. This isn't positivity, this is reprogramming based on the Word. And you don't need to feel it yet. You just need to repeat until truth becomes stronger than fear. Is that phrase you repeat aligned with what God says about you?
Now I'm going to guide you. You don't need to do anything complicated. Just listen, and if you want, repeat with me. Take a deep breath. Now, in a low voice or just mentally, say this. Jesus, I learned to fend for myself because I had no choice. But today, I choose to trust that you are with me. Don't force emotion. Just let the phrase exist. As you say this, notice what resists inside you and what feels relief. Now another phrase, calmly. I don't need to prove I'm strong. I just need to accept I wasn't created to live alone. Let that truth land. You're not a superhero. You're human, and humans need help. And that's not shame, it's design. Last phrase. This one is liberation. I choose to open the door. I choose to let Jesus in. I choose not to live locked up anymore. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to open the door. Now just breathe and let these words work inside.
Here's the truth that changes everything. Transformation doesn't happen when you stop being strong. It happens when you realize strength isn't living alone. You'll continue being capable. You'll continue being resilient. You'll continue being responsible. But the difference is you won't do it isolated anymore. Because God never asked you to be self-sufficient. He asked you to be dependent on Him. And dependence on God isn't weakness, it's wisdom. When you understand this, not just in your head, but in your soul, something changes. You stop being ashamed to ask for help because you understand you were created for fellowship. You stop being afraid to fail because you know there's someone who lifts you up. You stop living emotionally locked up because you finally believe it's safe to open up. If nothing around you changed yet, what changed inside you just now? It may seem like little, but it's everything. Because when you stop living isolated, you don't become weak,
you become free. Free to trust, free to rest, free to live in fellowship. And fellowship isn't risk, it's God's original plan for you. I'm going to give you one last push, firm but necessary. You can no longer use the past as an excuse not to trust in the present. I know you were disappointed. I know you were abandoned. I know you learned that counting on others is dangerous. But Jesus isn't others. He's the only one who never fails. And as long as you keep living like you're still alone, you'll never experience what it's like to live accompanied by Him. So here's the challenge. This week, do one thing you always do alone and ask for help. It doesn't need to be big, it can be small, but it needs to be real. It could be asking for prayer. It could be sharing a difficulty. It could be admitting you're not okay. And when pride comes, because it will come, you take a deep breath and remember, Jesus called me to fellowship, not loneliness, and I choose to obey. What would it look like to live this week without needing to prove you can fend for yourself? You weren't born to live isolated. You were born to live in fellowship. And fellowship begins when you open the door you locked. If this touched something inside you, I want to ask you one thing. Write in the comments, I choose not to live alone anymore. It's not magic, it's not a formula, it's a decision for your own mind to hear that you don't need to lock yourself away anymore. Write it there. I choose not to live alone anymore. And let that be the beginning of a new way of living. Jesus didn't come to judge you for building walls. He came to show you that now you can open the door. And when you open it, He enters.